It's awesome.
Alrighty guys, this is a Coyote swapped Corvette update. A lot of you thought it wasn't happening. This is 100% happening. A lot of you thought I just threw it in there and looked for internet clout. No. A lot of you thought it was going to be carbureted. No, I was using that as a picking point because it's nice and low profile and I'm able to just go underneath the runners and pick it up. But this is the first time it is sitting on its motor mounts, supported as it's going to stay. Bell housing is actually bolted up. There's your bell housing, right? So what I'm going to do is talk about what the plans are in terms of an intake manifold. Power adder, we have already talked about twin turbo because of fitment right at the firewall. I'm having issues fitting even a bone stock manifold. That's right, even this guy, which measures about 6 inches from the mounting flange to the mounting flange of the cylinder head. Call it 5 7/8 or something. There we go. So that is not allowing me to fully push the intake to the back. So I'm gonna have to look into something that's a little shorter. I've measured the 18 manifolds and the 18 manifolds are about the same, and a GT350 manifold is about the same. So it looks like a stock style intake manifold is not going to work. I hate to even say this because this is now not budget friendly. One of the only intakes that'll fit is a billet style intake a la Plasma Man, Frankenstein, but I'm gonna do everything possible to not buy a $3,000 or $4,000 intake because it doesn't make sense. This car is only gonna make tops 900 horsepower. It's a 3.2.1, actually 3.2.2. It's a Gen 3 bottom end, Gen 2 cylinder heads, and I think it's Gen 2 cams. So let's get underneath and see what we have to do to make this motor actually fit. But again, guys, in terms of fitment, it'll fit under the hood. We just have to have an intake manifold low enough so that it clears the firewall back there. You can see the fiberglass is a little torn up from just moving the motor in and out of here. But let's get underneath and see what's going on. So one of the things that I had to take into consideration is, believe it or not, where the crank's at. A lot of the LS's, or actually if you look at a ZR-1 or a Z06 or something, you got to make sure that the crank is not going to sit on the actual subframe and that it's going to clear the power steering. And that was a bit of a chore, but we figured it out. We ended up, oh, sorry about the glare. We figured it out basically. So we got some clearance down there and we clearanced the power steering rack, so everything is hunky-dory down there. A lot of you that remember what I had to do to get the oil pan to fit, well, it's a custom oil pan that I had to really modify like 15 times just to be able to, you know, make it work. So we had to make sure the contour of the subframe matched the oil pan so that it was a tight fit. The reason being is because to make the motor to the torque tube was a pain with the clutch not installed, but with the clutch installed, the modified flywheel, the modified input bearing, all that stuff, you know, we needed to make sure we had as much clearance as possible. So theoretically, if I separate this, I have this much room to separate, then the motor has to go like this a little bit and then just kind of work my way out and I'll be able to take it out of the input shaft without much of an issue. Motor mounts. So those of you that are not aware, we used the stock LS9, oh gosh, there we go. The stock LS9 motor mounts with a bracket with a mounting puck. Now, in the future, this might end up being some kind of, let's just say, not metal, because, you know, it's pretty much a solid motor mount right now. So if anything's gonna let go, it's gonna be it's gonna vibrate. It's gonna transfer all of the NVH, but it's also gonna transfer all of the torque to the car. So that's a plus or minus. But we were able to utilize the stock LS9 ZR-1 motor mounts to a Coyote bracket by just making some arrangements on some already off-the-shelf adapters, and then Jake just basically took up the space with this puck. The puck has a bolt up there. I'll have to put a washer down there, and it mounts on the bottom like stock. These cars have this big, massive Where is it? That right there. This guy. This is your motor mount for this thing. See? So it ended up working out, not the motor mount, but the bushing, let's just say, or the dampener. But it ended up working out really nice where we were able to utilize the stock mounting points, stock motor mount, just make a spacer. And we did that obviously on both sides. So I was very happy, extremely happy with the fitment. Then we had to tackle the clutch. That was by far the biggest task. So the clutch is a but a Mustang spec 26 spline McLeod RXT. The problem was it wasn't engaging the splines enough. It was sucked in quite a bit. So if I have the pictures, I'll overlay them. We ended up making a custom flywheel, which basically took 2 steel flywheels, bolted them together, pocketed one of the flywheels to make it lighter, balanced everything, able to install the stock, Mustang bolt pattern RXT in there, and the measurements were taken from the block to the end of the clutch, and then we had to figure out what throw-out bearing needed to go there. Well, luckily McLeod sells an adjustable throw-out bearing. This in the back, if you look in the back, see that shiny area right up against the back there? That little shiny area is a screw that completely, you can unscrew it and it brings the throw-out bearing forward, and if you screw it in, it'll bring the throw-out bearing closer toward the torque tube. So it's adjustable by a lot. And we took measurements, we were able to get the proper adjustments, and we got the fitment. I mean, it's not pushing against the clutch, it's right up against it. It's like freaking perfect. Now, the good thing was Jake was able to source one that had, ZR-1, it called out for ZR-1 stuff. So luckily it has 2 lines on it. One of the lines is a remote bleeder. The other line bolts up to the stock master up there, and we were able to clip it into the factory connection, so we didn't really have to modify anything. The factory connection, really, this is a great phone, my goodness, I love this phone. The factory connection worked flawlessly, so once I was able to bolt everything up, I was very happy. So the next step is more than likely to get the manifold situation figured out, meaning a low profile manifold, and maybe finish up, find a couple of bolts for the hardware. Again, this is like, think of it as the phase 1 or the beta tester. All these parts are custom. Flywheel, bell housing, and the oil pan. In total, I have less than $3,000 in everything. Again, this guy, and the whole clutch mechanism, everything, throw-out bearing, everything here you see, to make the Coyote fit, including the motor mounts, is less than $3,000. Now, a lot of labor on my end, but Jake, a lot of labor, and he helped me out. But in terms of like money spent out of my pocket, I have less than $3,000 in this whole setup right here, or about 3,000. Let's just call it 3,000. So that was an easy decision to make, because I already had the motor. In order to buy a built LS9 and anything, is like 10 grand for the short block or something like that. And then, I have to take the cylinder heads out, get them done, cam, install. And then once you blow everything back in there, you're into it for well over, I want to say 11 or 12,000 bucks, where I had everything in stock. Just had to have some engineering people around me make the parts to fit it, and everything else is stock torque tube, stock everything else. So the next plan is to take it up to Lund Racing or Ryan Eckhart from Low Profile Fabrications. We're going to decide when we're there. If he looks at this and goes, brother, there's no way I can put turbos on this thing because it's going to have to go through the fender. You know what I mean? Like in the fender and then out and through inner, so if he's like, I don't think that's possible, then I'm going to say, make me some badass headers connected to the stock stuff, and we'll look at supercharger options and go from there. So everything is adjustable. We have wiggle room, we have options, so it's not like I'm married to an idea right now. And just a reminder, I'll be running a TRZ manual brake conversion. I'll be running the stock fuel system. I'm gonna convert this over and maybe it's a surge tank situation in case you guys wanted to know about fuel system. I'm gonna run ABS with manual brakes. That's right, the ABS mounted nicely, the rack mounted nicely. This is a GT350 spec Mishimoto radiator, dual fan, low profile, nice and low. This is the stock condenser, I think it's called the condenser, for the AC. So I'm planning to have AC in the car, and the front drive is gonna be power by the hour stuff. Again, it's just a swap. I still have the stock harness, I still have the stock computer. Jake is saying keep all that. Once we get everything running, we'll start paring down the harness and make the dash work like stock by having map sensor, by having IAT. Basically, we want to make so that the harness is connected to the stock computer and it's working in conjunction with the Coyote computer, which is basically responsible for motor operation. Everything else is responsible for dash readout. So there you go, I'm actually really excited because once I find an intake that fits, or I could just tape it off and send it up north, but I'd rather decide now and see what the deal is with Ryan. We can decide whether we're gonna go blower or not. I don't think we're gonna go blower because we have no room, like literally no room. Coyote blower stick high and far back, so I don't think that's an option. I don't wanna go centrifugal because let's be honest, on a ZR-1, you're either gonna go positive displacement or Billy Badass twin turbo shit. A centrifugal, in my opinion, on this car is cheap. Centrifugals are more like 10 or 80, non-performance packed vehicles. But there you go, guys. Little update on the Coyote Swap ZR-1. It's absolutely happening. For those of you that thought it wasn't happening, for those of you that thought I was cloud chasing, absolutely not. I just shut my mouth, got to work with the guys that I surround myself with that are extremely smart, way more smart than I am, and we're gonna be able to make this happen. So be on the lookout in the next couple of months for updates on the ZR-1. If I can get it up to Lund Racing this month, that's gonna make it, it's gonna fly. Like, things are gonna start progressing really quickly. Once I get it to Lund Racing, then I gotta get it back, put the control pack in it, put the drive in it, put the computer stuff in it, make it run, and see what we can do. Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you later.